Siobhan, one of the teachers here at Tranquil Space, and we're going to be talking today about July's asana of the month, which is Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog, a pose we all do lots of in a vinyasa class especially. So the benefits of this pose is it is an inversion because your head is lower than your heart, but it's also great for building strength in your arms and legs, as well as help to open up arms, legs, upper back, and shoulders. If you have suffered from carpal tunnel, it's probably not the best pose. There's definitely modifications that you want to talk about with your teacher about doing when practicing this pose. Okay? So the first thing we're going to talk about is what is downward facing dog as far as how to set yourself up. You want your hands open slightly wider than your shoulders because we want to make sure we're rotating from our shoulders so that we don't do make any injuries to our shoulders, okay? Then we also want our feet just about hip distance apart, and we want the length of our down dog about the same as what it would be for plank pose. So I'm going to set myself up so that my hands are open slightly wider than my shoulders, just like I talked about, and I'm going to step back into a plank pose so that I'm going to have one leg back, then the other. And so I know that my wrist creases are in line with my chest, and my heels are over the balls of my feet. Then we lift the hips up to make an upside down V with the body, which is probably how you just hear it described mostly in class. And then this is your downward facing dog. What we want to have is nice broadness through the upper back and shoulders, okay? So what we want to have in down dog is shoulder blades coming down the back and shoulders spinning, so that we feel that openness and that stretching as well as strengthening in the upper back. Your hands want to stay so that your middle fingers point forward in doing this, so that once again that shoulder rotation happens from shoulders, not hands. The other thing is we want to feel our energy in our downward facing dog going from our hands up to our hips, down through the legs. So you want to think about, in order to take it deeper, bring yourself deeper into the pose, lifting your hips kind of up and back. So a little up towards the ceiling and then down through your heels. Common misalignments that happen in downward facing dog, which can potentially lead to any shoulder issues, are things like, instead of that nice broadness, bringing your arms so that your shoulders are way up at your ears. So you want to think about having shoulders away from your ears in your downward facing dog. Also, what commonly happens, especially for people who are very flexible in their upper back, is they end up almost what I call collapsing between their shoulders. So what happens in their down dog, as they're in it, they're doing this through their upper back. So instead of shoulder blades going away from each other, the shoulder blades are coming to each other. And it's not something I can quite mimic, but what happens is they end up having a big arch in their back, more like this, instead of a flatness. So think about your down dog as really keeping your head a little more even with your arms, broadening your upper back, energy lifting up through the hips and down through your heels. And if you're new to yoga, this pose can be very challenging. Arms can get very tired, so take breaks as you need to. I know mine used to quake like crazy when I first started practicing yoga. So honor that, let yourself come out and come back into it. Eventually it does become a pose that hopefully starts to feel good and actually becomes a resting pose. So I hope you enjoy the month of July and practicing your Adho Mukha Svanasana.